A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review today, so cheers. Now, before I get started with today's book review, you might notice that my voice sounds a little bit scratchy, and I might be pausing the video every so often to blow my nose. It's just because I came down with a pretty bad flu, and while I'm not really feeling up to recording a video today, I only have about a week left of my vacation before I go back to work. So I want to kind of push through as many videos for you guys as I possibly can. So today, what are we looking at? Star Wars Shadow of the Sith by Adam Christopher. Now this book was released in 2022. This is canon. It was written after Disney had purchased Lucasfilm, and it falls between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens. Now, what I thought was very interesting about the book is it takes a very minor part of The Rise of Skywalker, and by minor I say it's a plot point that is kind of glossed over very quickly in a few scenes here and there, and it expands upon that. There will be spoilers in this review. That is inevitable. If you don't want any spoilers and you want to read it for yourself, just know that I thoroughly enjoyed this. It adds a little bit of extra to the sequel trilogy, which, as I've said in the past, if you need a book to make the movies better, then the movies aren't working on their own. But if you're a Star Wars fan that just likes a little bit of extra lore, then this is the book for you. You can tell from the front cover, there are three kind of main characters. The villain here, which I believe is a kind of Sith acolyte. And then we have Lando Calrissian and, of course, Luke Skywalker. The other main characters in this book are Dathan, Miramir, and Rey. Yes, this book stars 6-year-old Rey with her father and her mother trying to escape from Sith hunters. With that said, I'm just going to jump straight into the next episode of...
Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. People.
Okay. So, there are really three stories happening in this book. We have the story of Ochi of Bestoon. He is a Jedi hunter who was hunting Jedi during the Clone Wars, and he has been tasked by Palpatine to go after Rey and to basically kill her. We know from The Rise of Skywalker that he has a dagger that has coordinates on it and whatnot, and we know that he clearly didn't succeed because Rey is the main character from The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, and The Rise of Skywalker. However, if we watch The Rise of Skywalker, we do find out that her parents are both killed after leaving her on the planet Jakku. You get more about that in this book. So that's the first kind of story. The second story is a really interesting one because it's actually never resolved, and it involves Lando Calrissian, who is trying to help this family because at some point his own daughter, 6 years previously, was kidnapped. He got his friends together to help him, the trail went cold, and he's been looking for his daughter ever since. It doesn't get resolved in this book. I would really like more information on that. Maybe in a later book, I don't know. Then we have Luke Skywalker looking for the lost Sith world of Exegol, the Sith world from The Rise of Skywalker, and he's trying to find a Wayfinder. Now, we know that there are only two Wayfinders in existence that lead to Exegol. Rather anticlimactically, Kylo Ren finds one at the beginning of Rise of Skywalker. when I saw that at the movies, I thought, wow, that's pretty cool. Watching it now, knowing what I do from the book, it was kind of fucking bullshit. But Luke is trying to find this second Wayfinder. Ochi of Bastoon is also trying to find this second Wayfinder. So ultimately, this book is Lando and Luke trying to find this family running. They ultimately catch up to them and manage to help them escape, but then lose their trail again. It's kind of like cat and mouse, cat and mouse, cat and mouse, the whole book. There's some great battle sequences, things like that. What I did love here is that the main villain, not Ochi of Bastoon, but the Sith acolyte, is wearing a mask, so she's being possessed by an ancient Sith Lord, Panchard, I believe his name is. But she's also using the lightsaber of Darth Noctis, who Luke believed was actually a myth until he saw her fighting with this lightsaber. So there's some cool Sith lore that comes through as the story progresses. Ultimately, Luke and Lando have to get help from a former acolyte of the Sith, a woman that Luke managed to help and turn from the dark side to the light. Although she doesn't really possess any Force abilities, she's now kind of isolated herself. And Luke goes to them for help, or goes to her for help, I should say, because she discovered in an Imperial wreckage that the Imperials were working on the ability to be able to track ships through hyperspace, which is something that we see in The Last Jedi. So I thought that was a pretty cool tie-in there. And to a limited extent at the beginning of Rise of Skywalker, when Poe is light speed skipping the Millennium Falcon. The book actually ends with Luke facing down against this ancient Sith Lord spirit, Ochi of Bastoon getting away, and then at the end of the book he lands on the planet, I believe it is Pashar. Let me just check that for a moment. And he sinks into the sand, which outer rim. Pisana. Ochi lands on the planet of Pisana, and the last thing we read about him is he sinks into the sand, which is a scene that we see in The Rise of Skywalker, where Poe, Finn, BB-88, Rey, and Chewie land on Pisana at the Burning Man Festival, whatever the fuck that was supposed to be. And then they go off to find Ochi's ship. They get caught in that sand, and then they go down into those caves underneath where they find Ochi's body. They find the dagger. They go to his ship. There's that awesome scene where Rey is kind of holding back the transport while Kylo is trying to push the transport forward. And then this kind of ties into the little bit of information that Lando Calrissian gives them at the Burning Man Festival on Pisana, when he meets up with them and explains why he's there. This was the last known place that Ochi of Bastoon was. His ship is still out in the desert. He and Luke looked for it, blah, blah, blah. So this kind of sets that up. As far as Star Wars novels go, it's not bad. It's certainly not up there with the top 10 Star Wars novels of all time, but it adds a new dimension to the sequel trilogies, which I appreciated because they're not my favorite Star Wars films of all time. But when you go in there with that little bit of extra knowledge, it just makes it more fun and less of a chore. So that is Shadow of the Sith by Adam Christopher. Adam Christopher has also written for other IPs such as Stranger Things, Dishonored. What else do we have? Elementary, The Spider Wars, The Empire State. He's quite a prolific author. Cover art is fantastic. The wraparound cover Also really, really cool as well. So there you have it. If you did enjoy the video, if you did enjoy the sequel trilogy, heck, even if you didn't, like, subscribe, comment on whatever you want. I'll try and answer them if I can. But all I'm going to say is have a fantastic rest of your day. Stay safe and read a fucking book, people.